All right, first out the gate, after the Cowboys beat the Commanders 45-10 on Thanksgiving, the distrustful media has done nothing but talk about the Cowboys, milking the subject like it's breastfeeding time at the Octomom's house.
Exactly.
But, that's because their so-called media studies and focus groups, whatnot, have told them that the Cowboys talk juices ratings. Now, we are never going to stoop that low on this show. Don't need to, obviously, because our ratings are massive.
Yeah,
but, unfortunately, it is our journalistic duty, to talk about the Cowboys right now for at least the next 5 minutes. Right, Tony?
Yeah, exactly. There are so many other stories we could talk about, like the Eagles and, there's a lot of others, too.
Yeah, there are a lot of others. But first, all right, let's address this. People are saying that the Cowboys are a so-called quote-unquote good team because they're 8-3. Oh. But, when you do a deep dive into the numbers, like the rest of the lazy, uneducated media just refuses to do, you can easily see that all the teams they played and beat through Week 12 did not have a winning record. Now, Tony, this is just totally dishonest, isn't it?
It's shameful. You can't have a, quote, winning record if you've only beaten losing teams.
Yep.
It's time we make NFL records more accurate. So, from now on, beating shitty teams should only count as a half win, and losing to a shitty team should count as a quadruple loss. Yep. So, based on that logical reasoning, the Cowboys' adjusted record is actually 4-6, putting them far out of playoff contention as it stands currently.
Eye-opening analysis there, Tony. And, people out there might say, hey, well, what about the Eagles losing to the Jets? Well, those people are clearly morons because as we established several times in a previous episode, that is terrific, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
That was only because both teams were wearing green helmets.
There you go.
And that was clearly confusing for Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, the Jets were basically camouflaged as Eagles. Unfair.
Yeah, and we want to move on here, but back to the Cowboys. Another headline you've probably seen out there. Many talking heads in the media are now saying Dak Prescott belongs in the MVP conversation. Now, this is why you shouldn't just read clickbait headlines. Isn't that right, Tony?
Absolutely. I mean, yes, it's true that Dak Prescott belongs in the MVP conversation, but only if that conversation is 10 hours long and you're discussing at least 600 different players.
Yep.
Because right now, on my list of potential MVP candidates, Dak currently sits at number 587, right between Chargers tight end Gerald Everett and Titans second-string cornerback Roger McCreary. So I guess, yes, Dak is in the conversation, but don't be fooled, he sucks.
Such valuable perspective there, Tony. And, one more story we have to address here. We don't usually like to discuss a player's personal life on the show
never.
because, it's wrong and distasteful, frankly, to bring someone's spouse or, partner into the story. But that being said, this week, Dak Prescott and his girlfriend announced that they're pregnant. And, unfortunately, Tony, this raises some very serious concerns we must address.
I became very concerned when I heard Dak and his girlfriend are having a baby. I mean, can Dak be trusted with the baby? What if he accidentally passes the baby to an opposing doctor?
Yep.
Or what if he fumbles the baby?
Yep.
We can definitely trust Dak in the first 2 trimesters, but in the final 2 minutes of the 4th trimester, Dak's gonna buckle under the pressure. That's why I think it's a smart idea to bring the more sure-handed Cooper Rush in to handle those final key moments.
Such terrific and vital medical advice there, Tony. And,
Thank you.
Again, we absolutely think it's distasteful when the media encroaches on a player's personal life. But we did happen to do a deep analysis of the pregnancy portraits that were released to the press. And as you can see, using our super zoom technology, the baby bump on Dak's girlfriend appears to be housing a baby deep in its 2nd trimester or early 3rd trimester. And Tony, this says a lot, doesn't it?
Yep. By my calculations, that would put the baby's due date right at February 11th, which is also the date of the Super Bowl. So this is clearly Dak's way of admitting that he won't be playing in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
However, let's say he was planning to watch the Super Bowl that day. Well, he's not going to have time. Just another example of bad Cowboys clock management and also cock management.
Great point, Tony. And also, what
Thank
a
you.
terrific segue that you did there, because on that last topic, we must address a very difficult and complicated situation developing in the NBA. Oklahoma City Thunder player Josh Giddey accused of having an inappropriate relationship with an underage girl. Now, people are saying that both the team and the league here have been slow to respond. But Tony, those people, they need to have some perspective here, don't they?
Yeah. We know a lot of people are shocked at how long the NBA has taken to address the serious allegations against Josh Giddey. Now, we don't want to minimize these allegations at all. But we also must take into account that this is happening during the historic and very important first ever in-season tournament. And everyone in the NBA was simply waiting to see which team would come out of West Group B. Again, don't want to minimize the allegations at all. But West Group B was very competitive, and that had to take some priority.
Such an expert handling of a complex and potentially explosive situation there.